Hey guys, it's Tom here from ProDirect Running.
And I'm Katie.
And in this video, we're going to be giving you our first run impressions of the all-new ADIDAS Adizero Adios Pro 3. Before we get started, if you are new around here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on to never miss a future upload. Katie, I know that you were a big fan of the Adios Pro 2. What was it that you liked so much about that shoe, and what is it that you're looking forward to most about the Adios Pro 3?
Yeah, no, like a very, very big fan of the Pro 2s. I think one of the key things was I feel like it's a bit of a dark horse. And I quite like it when a shoe does take you by surprise. It almost makes me like the shoe even more. So I've been using the Pro 2s for about a year, and though I haven't actually raced in them yet, I mean, they just get me through my tempos just with a breeze. Like, it's like a joy to run in them. I just like that they're not as soft as some other shoes that I own, so they just feel just a little bit more sturdy for me. And because I'm not racking up loads and loads of distance miles, they're just great over those kind of like shorter tempo runs, which suit me really well.
Yeah, amazing. It's that combination of those rods, which are really stiff, aren't they?
Yeah,
in the forefoot,
yeah.
that just makes them super responsive and propulsive when you're running at pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Pro 3, obviously there's a few visual changes and things like that, which we'll get into in a minute. But what is it that you're hoping that they might have changed with this new version?
Well, can they get me to a sub 16 5K? I mean, that would be great. To be honest with you, I'm kind of going in just with like an open mind. Again, like I said, I was really impressed with the Pro 2, so I'm hoping that the Pro 3s, you know, are going to be a step above. But I think really just, I suppose, the stability. I mean, with these kind of shoes generally, that always is a bit of a downfall with all of them generally. So I'm hoping from the kind of like the ankle kind of rolling perspective, perhaps a little bit better. But again, kind of going with an open mind, and I just really want them to feel comfortable and quick, and just like them as much as the Pro 2s really. On the topic of changes and updates, what updates are we expecting from the Pro 3s?
Yes, so we'll keep this fairly top line, won't go into too much detail, but like what you mentioned with stability, we do have a wider base on the Adios Pro 3. So the Adios Pro 2, I feel that for me personally, and like what you just said, stability was my only real concern with the shoe, and they seem to have rectified that brilliantly. Like you can see, you've got a really nice wide base across the forefoot there, and it's a little bit wider in the heel too, which should help those landing both forefoot and towards the rear of the shoe. The energy rods, the carbon infused energy rods, have also changed slightly. In the Adios Pro 2, they were independent of each other, whereas now they are joined at the heel. And essentially that's meant to just make them a little bit more efficient and a little bit more propulsive. The outsole has been slightly redesigned as well. We've got a bit more continental rubber up at the forefoot, just for more durability and traction. And you can also see that we've got these little cutouts, which a lot of the most recent super shoe releases have been implementing. And essentially it doesn't impact things like durability and grip, but it just helps shave off a few precious grams, which is obviously super important with a racing shoe. We've still got a full-length Light Strike Pro midsole, which, like you said, is what gives it that really nice, like slightly firmer but ultra-responsive ride. And we're right up to that 39mm legal limit. The upper has changed very slightly as well. We don't have that, it's slightly different to the Cellar Mesh upper that you had on the Adios Pro 2. And generally speaking, it just feels a little bit lighter. It seems like there's a little bit less volume in the forefoot and midfoot area too, so it might just wrap around the foot a little bit better. Aside from that, lovely little Elthia on the heel there. A lot of people, when they first saw the pictures, were wondering what this is for, but essentially it's just like a heel, a pull tab. It makes the shoe a bit easier to get on and get off, and once you've got the shoe on, tuck it away, and yeah, a nice little added design feature.
So you're talking about the kind of like the wider heel and the wider forefoot as well. Has that actually impacted the weight of it at all?
So we've actually gone down slightly in weight, which is good. I don't have exact numbers from Adidas at this moment in time, but I believe my UK 8.5 in the Adios Pro 2 was about 230-ish grams, and this one has dropped down to about 215-ish. So those aren't official numbers, those are just what I found on the kitchen scales at home. But yeah, we have dropped a nice amount of weight. probably in part due to the fact that you've got an additional cutout in the forefoot area there. The upper does feel a little bit lighter, and you've obviously got like those little cutouts of the rubber on the outsole too, which may not sound like a lot, but accumulatively it's going to come to 5 to 10 grams ish, which yeah, every little helps when it comes to a road racing shoe, right?
So now we've got all the tech of the shoe, the real thing we want to do is actually running them. So we are at Finsbury Park in London today. Tom and I are going to head out for a 10k run, aiming for about 4 minutes per kilometre. But we're going to start off a little bit steadier and then really take the shoes through their gears and try and ramp it up to a bit quicker as we get towards the end. So, let's go.
How do they feel so far?
Really good.
Yeah.
Feels like, well, we're going pretty quick.
Well, so we are about 6k into the run now. We've been clipping along nicely at about 3:55, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty hilly loop. Katie didn't tell me this before we started, but there's 2 fairly hefty hills. It's quite humid, so yeah, it's starting to get a little bit tough, but the shoes feel incredible so far. Like, definitely feel more stable overall. And you notice it actually when you're going uphill, like when you engage those rods, they really do give you that kind of propulsive sensation. Any words, Katie?
Shoes are good. That's what I've got.
Wonderful. All right, check back in very shortly. So unfortunately we lost Katie. She raced the 1500 earlier in the week and it's been very busy at work with events. So she's called it about 8k, very sensible decision. I think whenever you're doing a run like this, if it gets to the point where you're running kind of well outside yourself, always better to call it a day than push through. I've got just under a k to go, so I'll get to the full 10k. And yeah, myself and Katie will catch you up with how we feel about the shoes afterwards. Lovely. Oh God, it's warm. It's so humid.
Well, as you can see, we are super sweaty, but we do still have smiles on our faces. So presumably that went well?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time. Like I said before, I love the Adios Pro 2, but my only issue was a little bit of instability, especially when landing more towards the forefoot. I feel like that's completely rectified with the Adios Pro 3. I don't know about you, Katie, but that wider base really seems to work nicely. And overall, I've got absolutely no complaints about the shoe whatsoever. Like no blisters, no hot spots, nothing like that. And felt very comfortable all the way around. So I got through 10k. I don't know what the overall average pace was, but probably around 350-ish per kilometre. And Katie, what about yourself? How did you find them?
Yeah, in agreement with a lot of the things you say, nothing to say that stands out to be like worse than the Pro 2, not at all. I certainly felt it on the uphills. It was quite a hilly route, apologies.
Yeah, didn't tell me that beforehand.
But certainly like, on the uphills is when you can really notice it, that the hills just didn't feel as much of an incline. I just think coming off that forefoot, you could really notice it. So that was my biggest thing. Yeah, like you're saying, like no hot spots in terms of blisters, which you can expect with new shoes, but nothing, fingers crossed at the moment. I think one of my biggest things I was going to say is that I sometimes do get some issues with my knees. Yeah. And though you wouldn't want to wear these kind of shoes as like your daily mileage shoe because, you know, you want to get the most out of them, you want to wear them for the fast runs, but I think the structure on these shoes really are supportive of the knee. Like the impact just didn't feel as high. So if I could, I would probably wear these shoes all the time, but like you say, you'd lose the actual, you know, purpose of them is to do those quick runs. But yeah, knee stability as well, just spot on. So
yeah, I think towards the end of that, we got going towards like what I'm hoping is going to be like my marathon pace for London in a few months. And for that kind of pace, it's like the efficiency that you feel in them is just unbelievable for me. Like the way you're able to just maintain the same sort of pace without feeling like you're exerting that much more effort. Like obviously there were some pretty brutal hills in there, to be fair, like a couple of pretty big ones every lap. But yeah, like you say, the incline was negated by that propulsive feeling of those rods, and overall just a really enjoyable experience, even though it's very humid today, very humid. So there we go, that's going to do it for our first run impression of the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 3. As you can probably tell from the way that me and Katie were talking about the shoe, we are getting on really well with it so far, and I for one am very excited to get some more training miles in it in the not too distant future. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop us a like and leave us a comment down below as to what you think of the updates to the Adios Pro 3 and whether you'll be trying to pick a pair up for yourself. And if you're looking to get yourself a pair of the Adios Pro 3, you can do so right now at prodirectrunning.com.